Evening, Donny Walker here. Home alone tonight. Shelly went out with a friend for some supper. Kind of cute. My daughter Taylor is looking after my dad right now. Not that he needs to be looked after, but she's out there kind of hanging out with him while my mom left today on to a cruise. I believe she's going on an Alaska cruise. Hopefully that's right. Or my mother's going to kick my butt. So anyways, worked on a bunch of different stuff today. 592 I did for a guy. Martin Sear. Do a video tomorrow running this up. I did 2 372 X Torques for a fella, I think in Cowichan area or something. Yeah. And a 362 for grounds and crowns, I think, tree service. Little ripper, little saws they are. 362 is a nice saw. It's an older version than this one, but the new ones are really good too. And the older ones are good too. They just did a lot of changes on them though. I believe there is like about 40 service upgrades on the saw. That saw. Different cylinders, different carburetors, different chokes, different throttle controls, lots of stuff. Top covers, filter covers. So you got to really watch when you order parts for a 362 or 361 saw. You get your serial number right with your parts order, or just physically look at the parts breakdown when you order the parts, so you know, it's either got the slanted cylinder, the flat cylinder, or the different configuration of a lot of other stuff. But that's just on that model. There's a lot of saws that have service bulletins with different changes, like the Husqvarna 550 regular version versus the Mark II. Nothing really fits. Nothing fits on that saw. I had a fellow the other day talk about something about the felling spikes or bucking spikes, and of course they don't fit because the crankcase is configured differently, and there's a lot of differences on it. So I believe the 361 372 still is the one that I've seen the most ever service interval or service bulletins on, or changes. You know what I mean? Or upgrades, right? Because obviously knew there was a problem, so they upgrade it. Don't mean to talk tonight and eat at the same time, but I made these delicious fries tonight. I got to tell you guys about this. You take a Kennebec potato, whatever, good old brown big potatoes here in Canada and Idaho and New Brunswick and wherever you're from, man, it doesn't matter. They're the best, eh? Peeled them, cut one in half. I did this with one potato. Peeled it, cut it in half, made it into French fries. Then put them in cold water, and I get the starchy kind of little cloudiness in the water. So I clean the fries first and get the starch in this out. And that makes them get crispier too, by the way. So I did that, and they weren't that bad, these ones. Did that, patted them down, dry them, put olive oil on them, and some of this Clubhouse fries. Smoked paprika and herb. Just a really nice addition on top of them, eh? So you put the fresh cut fries. I got one of those things that you can make your own fries, right? It's just a simple little hand unit, right? So I put the 2 halves of potato in there twice. Made the fries, coated them with olive oil, then put that stuff on them, mix them all up in a bowl. But then I went out and made myself this lovely halibut burger. Fresh halibut from the west coast of BC, Canada. The best in the world, man. People pay the biggest dollar for this stuff. It's worth so much. I gave my coworker Sam, Robert Morrison, a nice bag today of it. And myself, I kept enough to make myself a couple burgers. So I coated this one, made a nice burger. Bought a couple fresh cheese buns from the bakery. Put some mozza cheese on top of it. Some mayo aioli kind of dressing. I don't have it in front of me, but I just like it, you know. And tartar sauce, of course. Yeah. So, hey, try my first bite of it. Check it out. Oh, yeah, that's good. How couldn't it be? Thought I'd show you that tonight. Sorry to wreck your dinner if you're having Pizza Hut pizza or something. Or some McDonald's. Oh, I also got, tease you a little more, this little skewer here. Look at this. East Coast scallops, Digby scallops, bacon wrapped. Get the sucker off there, eh? Oh, yeah. Can't beat that, eh? So it's not all about chainsaws tonight, obviously. We're talking about a little bit of food. Gotta love Canadian, or not Canadian, U.S., Canadian. All over the world you can get this stuff in the right areas. But I'm lucky to have a lot of friends that fish, have charter businesses or commercial fish, and lucky enough to get a lot of nice seafood. Yeah. Can't beat that. So yeah, I had a fella today send me a message about 181, 281, 288s about the oiler systems. How you rebuild an oiler on them. Okay, not a problem, man. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to take an older 288 that a fellow left at her shop that I just scored. Bad piston and cylinder. I'll show you how to take the clutch off, either properly with the impact. It doesn't come off with that. I'll show you the piston stop method or the starter rope method through the spark plug hole. We'll get that off, take the oiler off, show you how the integrated seal works, which is built into the oiler on those. So when you do take the oiler off every time, you're taking the seal off the crankshaft. So you got to be really careful that you have the proper installing tool, or you don't wreck it taking it on and off. You're better off to put a new one on every time anyways. 288s, 266s, 272s, never had a lot of problems with oilers. Only a couple things on 61s, 272s, 266s, 162s, you know. I don't need to name them all. You guys know what I mean. All the series that had that same oiler system, okay? I've showed you before on one where there's that little screw that holds the drive pinion gear of the oiler that is driven by the oiler gear, or the pinion, if you want to talk Swedish or German terms. The pinion drive. It's the oiler gear. Anyways, the oiler gear drives the shaft, okay? And that's what gets your oil. Then when you have the adjustments of an oiler, the shaft will actually move back and forth farther for more oil, because it has this little detent in there that is flat, flicks around, but as it moves around back and forth, it acts as like a suction pump, and that's how you get your oil from your oiler to your bar. It's funny that a lot of people have never understood that you can actually rebuild those oilers, putting new shaft gears in them and whatnot. But I gotta admit, you know, through my career and my dad's too, I bet you I don't think we ever really put in a rebuild kit in one of those oilers. We just replaced the oiler. Yeah, but I know they're available. I've seen it all the time, and the parts breaks down. Of course, I've only been doing this, for 50 years. Not quite. Okay, let's say 40, because I'm 56. 45. Anyways, so yeah, never really rebuilt one. Just clean them and put a new oiler gear in it, like a new worm gear, drive gear, plastic or brass on the old 2100s and stuff like that. But yeah, either on those smaller saws, it was that screw that came out eventually when they were older ones, had a lot of miles on them, or people overheated the clutches and overheated their oiler gear because they're plastic. So the heat transfer from the clutch shoes and the clutch spring, when people are done with them and get them stuck and keep trying to run them while the wood is smoking and catching on fire, it's the only other way to really wreck it. You can't wreck it in normal use unless something was done wrong from the factory, but that was very unlikely. They built millions of those saws. 266 series, all the 200 series were incredible. I believe, I shouldn't say I believe, I know just some years ago back that in some places they were, or the factory, they were still building those older models, 288, which I know they still do actually. 288, 272, stuff like that. Like they're just so reliable and so great, eh? I did a video the other day on that bearing situation on the 661. Well, you know what? I had a lot of comments on that. People talking about, hey, what about aftermarket bearings? Well, you really can't buy them for them. You can in certain spots of them. Some stills on the magneto side, you have the typical 6202, 6203, 6204, whatever. C3, C4, whatever, man. But it's the clutch side ones that are in particular that hold the seal inside of in the bearing, and plus they're a little bit different setup, right? So I haven't really seen aftermarket bearings of those, and you know what? I probably would never use them. But sure, there's a problem with bearings and saws, and it's not just that still model I just showed you. It's in Husqvarna's 550s, 562s, 572s. Hopefully not the new ones. Let's see how that goes, eh? Hey, Sven? Kidding. So, the whole thing with bearings, there's a lot of talk about it. Plastic cage, metal cage. Plastic cage bearings I've used in racing engines that rev 20,000 RPM. I've done 100 miles an hour in these go-karts and stuff with these motors, shifter carts, go-kart motors, hot saws. Like road race bikes that my friend Magnus used to work on, 500cc two-strokes, stuff like that. They all used them. They're the best bearing going on. Because you got to think about that one I just showed you with that play in that crankshaft, that 661. Okay, both sides are like moving around like stupidly, right? But that's because the cages were missing. The balls weren't missing or anything. The top end was perfect still. Had a couple little scars on it, but overall, you could put a new crankshaft and bearings and all that in that thing and whatever, but that thing had so many hours on it. To spend that kind of money is ridiculous. OEM parts aren't cheap. That thing had, I believe I just told you guys, 400 hours on it. That's right, 400. So that's like, what did I figure that out? 400 hours. So that's 100 days. Just say it only worked 4 hours. Like, fallers work 6 hours a day, but their saw ain't cutting and working hard for those 6 hours. It might be 2.8, 3.2. Hopefully their bosses don't know that, but See how that goes, eh? Told you guys that out there. Anyways, end of summer, pretty much almost here. Had a good summer. Got to do a lot of things. Thanks, Shelly, and my friends, my family. It was really good. You know, we're still gonna have some good weather, I think, for a bit. So might move our mobile trailer from our old camping spot at the racetrack to a couple different camp spots, maybe during the winter here, just to go back and forth, and so you're not at home all the time. You know, get to go out and have some fresher air and stuff. You know, see how that goes. Okay, gonna get back to eating this lovely dinner I got here, and gonna do that 288 Oiler system. I'm gonna show you, not just the fellow that commented, show you all exactly how it works. And it kind of relates to pretty much every series of Husqvarna saws up to today's standard ones, which are almost all the same too. All the way from the 365, 565, right up to the new 592. They're all pretty much the same oiler. All pretty much the same oiler system. They just maybe are stepped a little different or got a different gear with a little variation of the crankshaft length, but they look exactly the same. So I'll keep you updated on all that. Give you that buddy there. I'll give you that thing with the oiler there for sure, and go from there. Keep us on the wood, stick in the ice. Wherever on the road, I got the walkersawshop.com online store. It's a beautiful night here tonight. No ferries going out, but calm seas. It was really windy today, so not too many guys got some salmon fishing out here on the strait here today, but maybe they did it on the other side of the island. It's been really good this year. A lot of my friends have caught some beautiful salmon springs, pinks, halibut. That's where I got this halibut tonight there. A friend of mine dropped me off a bag of nice fresh stuff from the West Coast. So thank you very much, Gerald. You all have a good night. Keep us on the wood. Bye.